Hi there, good afternoon. This is Mendocino Community College, a 2-year college, the main college in Mendocino County here, outside of the town of Ukiah, where I'm visiting family, taking a break back in the area where I'm from, while considering my upcoming plans. Pardon my voice, still getting over this cold, but on the upswing. So the little golf cart thing that you saw at the beginning there, driving away, is a guy who watches my videos. I ran into him here once before, a few years ago. I was just walking over here to start the video, and he drove up and said hello, and I'd forgotten about it. And then he said, yeah, I just saw your latest video, so pretty cool. Nice to have a local viewer. So I'm going to wander up into the hills and the trees here, if I can get through. Looks like there's a fence in the way. Let's see how this goes. So this is a good old-fashioned travel story video about Hawaii. Getting stranded with a hurt leg in the rainforest of Hawaii. So this occurred on the way to the Kalalau Valley on the island of Kauai, the Nepali coast. Man, oh man, that is a serious looking fence there. That might be private property and no easy way to get over it without breaking some rules. So I'll just wander along the fence here, in which case you'll see something kind of cool, which is a disc golf course that is out there. So there's still plenty of space to roam. Yeah, that is definitely looking like they don't want you exiting the borders of the college here. So the Kalalau Valley and the Kalalau Trail to get there is one of the ultimate traveling experiences for adventurers. It is an 11-mile one-way hike that is considered to be one of the most difficult hikes in the US, other than, of course, you know, climbing Mount McKinley or Mount Denali or whatever. But for being Hawaii, then it is a pretty intense and severe hiking adventure, because it is going along the cliffs. Nepali means the cliffs in the local Hawaiian language. It is the only section on the island without a road going along the coast because of the cliffs. Super steep, up and down, and so you start at sea level, end at sea level, but in the process you climb a lot. So the first time that I hiked any part of that trail was in the summer of 1989. And speaking of 1989, that is the year that I graduated from high school, and that spring I attended Mendocino Community College here for a semester. And then I came back again in spring of 1995. So in 1989, I graduated from high school in June. My mom had planned a trip to Hawaii as a high school graduation gift along with my brother. So the three of us went to Kauai and hiked the first couple of miles of the Kalalau Trail out to Hanakapiai Beach. And in the process, we ended up talking with somebody along the trail. I think that it was like a forest ranger or something like that. And they told us about hiking the rest of the way and the fact that there was a campground at the end of the trail and a beach, and you could, you know, camp out there and stay a while. So after that trip was done, then you know, flew back home to California, continued with my adventurous summer, in which I did an outward bound course, which is a backpacking wilderness experience, 3 weeks in the Sierra Nevada mountains, including rock climbing. But I don't want to get too lost on various other tangents here. So In 1997, then I went back to Hawaii for the second time, alone as a backpacking vagabond at that point, with little money. Ended up camping on beaches, staying in the hostel there, and meeting up with some people who were planning to hike out to the Kalalau Valley at the end of the Kalalau Trail. It was something that was on my mind. I knew about it because of having been there when I was 17 back in '89, but I didn't really know how to do it, how easy or hard it was, what exactly to bring, you know, what it was going to be like out there. And so it helped to meet up with some other people who were planning to do it as well. And so we hiked out there, and I ended up staying out there for 5 weeks, hiking back a couple of other times to get more food. But it is a place that you really get away from it all and can experience this just incredible kind of ultimate paradise of amazing beach, the rainforest foliage, a river, waterfalls, etc. So here we have one of the disc golf baskets. There is the point that you shoot off of, throwing a frisbee. Same rules as golf. There's another one out there, the blue basket, and a game that I play regularly, especially when I'm out here. I have the frisbees in my car that is parked in the parking lot over there. But I'm not going to play disc golf here. Instead, I'm doing something else, which is driving out to Ora Hot Springs to really relax for the afternoon. So, this story takes place a decade later, more than a decade later, in spring of 2008, when I was on a big trip that I had left for the previous fall. In fall of 2007, I had been working in Portland, Oregon as a delivery driver for a food delivery service that was basically like Uber Eats before Uber Eats, driving around food from different restaurants to people's homes. But I was getting back into the traveling thing after taking a break for a while living in Portland there. So I had booked the flights for this trip all in advance online using this website that did like around the world flights, and then you could build your own flights. And so the trip was leaving from Portland in like maybe October or something, flying to Kauai, Hawaii for a month, and then from there flying to Thailand for the first time for 7 weeks, then to India for 3 months, and then another flight back to Thailand for another month, and then back to Hawaii for another month. And so altogether that all added up to an 8-month trip. And then while I was in India, I think it was actually maybe 3.5 months in India. Anyways, with the last 2 weeks in India, I decided to go to Nepal, and I went overland from India across the border straight up to Pokhara. Didn't visit Kathmandu that time, and I did my first trek, the Annapurna Base Camp trek, with a friend, my old yoga instructor John from Eugene, Oregon, where I lived in '93 and '94. So it was on my way back to Kauai, Hawaii, the second time in spring of 2008 that this incident occurred. So I have a little medical issue or whatever, which fortunately I haven't had any issues with in years, which is that I have tendinitis, I guess. That's kind of what I figured out what it must be. And the only time that it ever crops up is when I'm doing intense hiking with heavy weight on my back. Actually, the first time that it happened, that was not the case. I was snowshoeing in Oregon. And by the end of the snowshoe day, then I could barely walk. It isn't like painful, it is mildly painful, but whatever it is, something is getting stressed, and then it's just hard to walk without pain, basically. But it isn't like excruciatingly painful. But it can get so serious that I can barely walk, and it happens in both legs, or maybe just one leg, but it's kind of random. So I get started on this next trip hiking out to the Kalalau Valley. This was like my, I don't know, 4th or 5th or 6th time doing it, because in 1997 I did it 3 times. In 1998 I did it twice. I was living in Hawaii then for 6 months in 98, and then in 2007 at the beginning of that trip I did it as well. So I guess this was like the 7th time then. So here is one of the tee-off points, probably shooting for a basket out in the field out there. So I start the hike, big backpack, loaded up with food, not a whole lot of, clothes, obviously. It is hot and humid out there, hiking in sandals, not unlike these kind. So, not a massive backpack, but anyways, a heavy one, and going up and down the cliffs. And so somewhere past the 6-mile mark where the campground is, that you can stay midway, I believe, is when the tendonitis started to act up. It starts off, just this kind of mild feeling in the leg, and then it gets steadily worse and worse. But I decided to just like push through it and get to the end of the trail, and then I would be able to relax there. I was going to be there for like the next 5, 6, 7 days or whatever. And previously then, this had always gone away basically by the next day. After sleeping on it and just letting the, whatever, my leg relax, then usually it was just like basically gone a day later. This time then, it got especially bad while hiking. I managed to get to the end of the trail, but by the time I arrived, I was limping in both legs. Both legs were really badly affected by this, and I was just like, barely able to walk. So I get to the campground, set up my tent, and just take it easy for the rest of that day, and then sleep on it. And then the next day, it is still a problem. It hasn't gone away like previously. And so I spend the next few days trying my best to stay off my legs as much as possible. But I'm still, up for exploring around, and I don't want to spend all day just laying in my tent. So it was certainly partly because of my continued activity, and also just because they were more severely affected than previously, that it just didn't go away. Now, there was a extremely lucky thing, which is that quite randomly, I ended up meeting this guy a few days in or something, maybe like 4 or 5 days after I'd been there. And the tendonitis is still a problem. It hasn't gone away. But this guy had boated in, which is not something you're allowed to do. Fortunately, because if that was the case, then there would be lots more people out there. If like tours could just like stop there and drop people on the beach and let people camp and then take them back or whatever. So what this guy had done was illegal, but it ended up being what saved me. And so I ended up talking with this guy, and come to think of it, it must have been a good like 5, 6 days in. Maybe he was staying like 2 nights, something like that. But he mentions that he came in by the boat. And I guess in the course of our conversation, I mentioned that I was having a problem with my legs. And then he offers to take me out if I wanted, when he's leaving, maybe it was like 2 days later. And so I kind of file that away and then just decide to see how I'm doing the next day and just kind of think about it. But it is looking like kind of my best and really only option, because my legs are just not getting better, and I'm now at the point of almost running out of food. And if I have to hike out on my own, I have no assurance that I'm going to make it. Like, it's one thing to finish up the hike at the end with this tendonitis thing acting up for, 2-3 miles or whatever, but to start that hike still limping, that was a very, very risky situation, because there is no escape once you're on the trail other than going back to the campground and the beach and then trying to flag down a helicopter, which is going to be expensive. I didn't have much money, and that would be a whole, operation. How do you even do that? I mean, I didn't have a cell phone or anything. Probably not reception out there. You would have to like wave your arms or write something in the sand or something like that, because the helicopters aren't just landing there. They're flying way overhead, giving people helicopter tours. And then once you're on the trail hiking, there is nowhere to even get down to the water, like to be picked up by a boat or anything. You're just on the trail for 11 miles and committed. So I'm thinking seriously about taking this guy's offer. The next day, I see him, and he's kind of a little ways away. And so I just yell at him and say, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and take the boat ride with you tomorrow, all right? And he kind of waves or something. Now, I think that I might have pissed him off right there, because there were some other people near him. And so I think that I might have pissed him off by revealing to the other people that he was with in that moment that he had come there by boat, something like that, because of what happened the next morning. So I didn't think anything of the interaction. I thought, okay, this guy offered me a free ride. It's in the morning. Okay, we're all set up. So that night I get packed up and ready to roll in the morning, set an alarm, and then wake up early in the morning, head out, find the guy, and then he's saying, no, I'm not going to give you the ride, with no explanation. And I am basically in a full-on desperate situation at this point. Maybe 1 day's food left. My legs have not healed up. If I don't get the ride with this guy, I am really, really screwed. So I kind of, push the issue a bit and, explain, like, what else am I going to do? Like, I'm really in a bad situation here and you're going to help me out a lot. So he finally relents and says he's going to give me the ride, but this time he says he's going to charge me, when he had explicitly said he would do it for free the other day. And so he asked me, how much money do I have with me? And it was like $40-something, and he says, okay, I'll take it. So he's going to take all my money. I mean, I had, some money in the bank, but not very much. And so I have no choice. So I go ahead with it and get a ride with him and a couple of other people in the boat. It all goes smooth from there. I get back to KA Beach. At the start of the trail, I'm still just limping like crazy, but I'm saved. I'm out of a emergency situation that could have been a heck of a lot worse if it hadn't been for that very lucky break there. And then it took another few days before my legs finally went back to normal, but things worked out, and it didn't happen again for quite a long time. Luckily, it never happened while I was trekking in Nepal, which is quite surprising, considering that I'm hiking up super steep mountains and carrying a heavy weight, because that would be a bad place for this to occur. But it definitely occurred later in 2015, once again, when I was hiking the Kalalau Valley with Sterling. That's kind of sketchy there. That's what I was thinking. I'm going to wait until we get further across. But all right, folks, it is the next day. We're still at Hanakoa. We're just taking off. We got a late start, but we needed a little bit of a extra rest this morning after yesterday's grueling hike. On the way back, it happened, and again was quite bad. It started cropping up sometime fairly soon in my hike coming back, and it was a rough hike. But that was the last time that it happened, so it's quite a mysterious condition, which could pop up again anytime. But so far so good. All right, time for me to get out of here. Go drive out to Ore Hot Springs out there, go soak in some hot water, and relax for the afternoon. So some more travel stories coming in the next few days. I am here for not too much longer, and then most likely heading north up into Oregon from here, with no certain travel plans yet after that, but considering various options. All right, that's it. See ya.